One Ukrainian soldier has been wounded overnight on the Eastern Front. He was hospitalized with burns and shell fragment wounds. The hottest spot on the front now is near the Donetsk outskirts. The Russian-backed militants stay in the occupied city and shell nearby Avdiivka and Pesky with grenade launchers and machine guns. Gunfights also happen near Mariupol and in Lugansk region. Again, Russia blocks a joint statement at the ministerial meeting of the OSCE in Hamburg. More than 50 ministers of foreign affairs have met, and Ukraine is a key topic for the discussions. In the resolution, diplomats plan to condemn Crimean annexation and ignoring the Minsk agreements. Yet they cannot pass the resolution because Russia does not accept it. This is being the third year in a row that the OSCE cannot pass the resolution. Meanwhile, not fulfilling the Minsk agreements makes the work of monitoring mission in eastern Ukraine extremely difficult. 122 bags of expensive stuff have been stashed away in a Kiev apartment block. As police found out, all of them belong to Mykola Azarov, ex-Prime Minister of Ukraine, who fled the country after Viktor Yanukovych was ousted. Now Azarov's lawyer claimed that police officers have robbed his patron and replaced a Repin painting with a replica. The early assessment says the total cost of treasures found exceeds $5 million. The ex-minister planned to take them with him, but did not have the time in his rush to leave the country. For 3 years, guns, paintings, icons and other objects were stored at Azarov's friend's apartment. They say it is more than $5 million worth, but we are still waiting for a full expert quote and they assess whether all the items are genuine. We have also found Azarov's documents. That alone is proof that the items belong to him. Police says that they found this apartment in a new 24-storey house by sheer accident. They were investigating a robbery case and one of the witnesses appeared to be the owner of the apartment. He revealed the information about the hidden bags. We now have the information about safe houses where Yanukovych's minions did not live. They are owned by some dummy people. This is where they hid their assets when they fled the country. We also had information that things were taken into the apartment during the revolution. Now Azarov treasures are in a police department safe. Later there will be evidence in a case against Mykola Azarov. He is accused of abuse of powers and embezzlement and wasting assets on a massive scale. Now the ex-minister is in hiding within the Russian Federation.
А? Любой предмет.
Welcome to Ukraine Today. My name is Teresh Chechko. Today and right now I'm joined by Yaroslava Johnson, President of Western NIS Enterprise Fund, to talk about local development in Ukraine and in particular about the International Mayors Congress, which is held in Kiev. Hello, Mrs. Johnson. It's a great pleasure to have you here, and thank you for finding time to join us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So let's start with the very point, with the very topic right now, with the Congress. So why Kiev was chosen the location for the Forum of Mayors? Maybe there could be some smaller city to show that cities around Ukraine, they also participate in conversations and in discussions about urban development.
Our focus is on all Ukrainian cities, although we understand that the bigger cities have resources greater than the smaller cities. But our goal was to call attention to the importance of urban development, especially in a country that is trying to grow and to establish a new footprint, new frontiers. And so our mission was to make sure that it was held in the capital. The first Congress was held in the capital, which attracted everyone's attention. Other years, when this continues for the next subsequent years, we'll hold it in some of the other cities as well.
So the event is going to be annual.
We're hoping this. We think the event has been successful so far. We'll see what the results are at the end of today's conference. But if it works, we will try to do it again next year.
So what is the major aim of the Congress, which is held right now? What outcome we want to have right in the end of the event?
We are interested in giving Ukrainian mayors, smaller city mayors, the opportunity to exchange ideas and thoughts and learn from mayors from all over the city. We have several international mayors here from Canada, from Poland, from other countries, who will describe their own activities and how they made their cities more livable for their population, for their residents. And we think there's a lot to be learned from international experience. And so this is an opportunity for Ukrainian mayors to hear what was done, how it was done, and see if they can adapt and apply the same principles to the development of their urban areas.
If you talk about the activity of the fund, in particular the area of local development, so what major things have already been done or are planned to be done in the future?
Our first project was Prozoro. We funded Prozoro, as Ozimuk mentioned today. While technically it's a project on a national level, it impacts every city because public procurement was an area of corruption that was very well known and well established. And we felt it was important for cities and communities and Hermada to be able to control their budgets, and the best way of controlling their budgets is to make sure they get their money's worth for purchases, for services and contracts. And now that the program, Prozoro, has been adopted as a national standard, it means not only does the national government apply Prozoro in all its ministries, but urban areas are also applying Prozoro, and it means they have immediate savings from their budgets to operate.
The process of decentralization in Ukraine, is it taking the speed of really good, because it takes years actually to reform all this area, but at the current state, how do you think about that?
I think the decentralization is progressing as well, as fast as it can progress. It takes communities, communities have to come together, and so it takes a group of communities to decide to have elections, and that process takes time. The fact that the Prime Minister said 184 Ramad have already been formed, and another 184 are ready to be formed, it's a major accomplishment. Ukraine is a very big country. Most people don't realize how big it is, especially outside of Ukraine don't realize how big it is, and this is an important effort in making the decentralization work. It has to be done with support of the communities, and the communities have to decide who's going to lead them and how they're going to be formed.
So it's more about the movement from the local level, or actually it's both ways?
It's a two-way street, because obviously decentralization means that the national government has to give some powers to the local authorities, which they didn't have before, and the local authorities have to accept those powers, and of course there's budget that follows too. Monies go from the national government to the local government, and the local government has the ability to use those funds for the benefit of its residents, of the citizens.
And the final question, what do you, as the president of the fund, can recommend to make for the following years that should be made in the matter of urban development and local development in Ukraine?
We have half a dozen different programs for urban development. We have, in addition to Prozoro, we have programs that focus on urban planning, small improvements in cities. For example, helping develop parks, small parks that residents can do themselves. Not everything requires government involvement. A lot of things can be done by the citizens of the community. And we have a School of Urban Studies called ConActions, and that school has developed projects in half a dozen Ukrainian cities. And these projects are pilot projects that act as models for other cities to copy. So if you go to Ivano-Frankivsk, you see what they've done in their urban development, how they've improved it. You go to Kramatorsk, you go to other cities, and you see that the citizens can take action as well. It's not the government. Our mission is to show that urban, local economic development does not only occur from the government. It takes initiative of the citizens as well.
Mrs. Johnson, thank you for joining us right now, and I wish good luck to you, and I wish good luck to our local authorities, for mayors that are attending the event, and I hope that major forums are still ahead, and we're in the progress of making them. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It was my pleasure.
Yaroslava Johnson, president of Western NIS Enterprise Fund, joined Ukraine today to talk about the International Mayors Congress and about urban development in Ukraine.
At the moment in Poland we have this strange situation because many people from Poland, many Polish workers just go to and went to the west of Europe, to United States, to EU in general, and we have many capital which just came to Poland, and at that moment we need new people, we need workers, very good workers, qualified workers, employees, and we are going to start to employ people from Ukraine to give them the opportunities, the new challenges. At the moment, more or less in Poland we have about 1 million of Ukrainian people who started to work, and they are going to stay even in Poland. It is very good time to start also to cooperate with the Ukrainian people who really want to get a good job, better job that they have in Ukraine, and also they can work according to their professionality and specialty. It is important for us to focus as a global job gate, focus on the people according to their profession, not to invite well-educated people to work in restaurants, but rather well-educated people to work in very good companies, corporations, to use their abilities.
There has always been interest of Polish business in Ukraine, but the situation, in the light of the Russian aggression, is not demonstrating lines of Polish investors ready to bring their money to Ukraine. Except the war in the country, there are signs, including those of international organizations, that a level of corruption is not in favor of foreign investors. So they are interested, but for the past 2-3 years, they haven't invested very much. It's more like an expectant policy towards Ukraine. There won't be new investments in Ukraine unless the Ukrainian government and state bodies take care of permanent old investors.
The revolution of dignity continues. Watch the birth of a new nation online at uatoday.tv.